Right, guys, another day, another rant. Let's get into it. So, today's topic is me wanting to get into a little bit about how I'll raise my daughters versus how I'll raise my sons. And that's going to be significantly different. You're not going to raise them the same way because men and women have entirely different lives, entirely different experiences. Everything is different about us, right? But that's why we complement each other so well. That's why we work so well in unity. That's why the nuclear family was the best thing that ever happened, right? And now we don't have that anymore. But that's a completely different topic. So we're different. We got to acknowledge that. We're equal in value, of course, but we're not equal in any other way. The only thing we're equal in is value as human beings. But other than that, we're completely different. So raising your sons versus raising your daughters is going to be a very different thing. So, for one, when it comes to raising my daughters, here's what I would do. Here's the exact way I would actually raise them. The first thing is I would give them a fairy tale existence. I would give them an amazingly comfortable life to really show them what they are worth and what they should strive for when they find their man and they get married, right? So I would give them an amazing life. They would live like they're in a Disney movie. Everything is perfect. Their life is top, top, top tier, right? They get spoiled. They live amazing lives, but they still have a good head on their shoulders. They still have respect. They still have manners. They still have a good personality. All of these things. But they would have an amazingly beautiful life, right? Being their feminine and just not feel any stress and just be what they're supposed to be, feminine women, right? What this will do is it will teach them that most men do not qualify for them. Most men need to earn them. Most men need to be able to give them the same life quality, the same existence, if not better. They have to exceed it in some way. They have to either match it or exceed it. This is very important, right? So this will teach them that, okay, I'm not just going to date any man. I'm going to be selective with who I mate with, who I get married to, because this is what I've been taught. This is the life that I've been given. This is the only thing that I know. My father has given me an amazing life, and I need to make sure that the father of my children gives me the same kind of life, if not better. And our children lives the same way. They grow up the same way. So this is the first thing. You need to teach your daughters high standards. Okay? You need to teach her very, very high standards so she knows what kind of man she should get because she has the value to leverage that. And that's the next thing I'll get into in a very in a few seconds. So that is the first thing that I'll teach my daughters, like really, really high standards. Then we go into the second thing that I wanted to mention here. The second thing is she has to earn those high standards. Any woman does not deserve, a top, top, top tier man. Most women don't because they are ran through horse. They've been enjoying their lives too much. They've been sexually liberated. They've been sleeping around. They're not agreeable. They're argumentative. They're masculine. And they don't respect male authority. So, what I'm also going to teach my daughter is to earn high standards by preserving her value. Because most women at a young age have all the value in the world. Then the decisions that they make either help them preserve that value or that value goes to waste. So I will teach her what to do in order to preserve that value, or better yet, like more so, what not to do. Because it's more so the things you do that damage the value that you have as a woman. But if you just don't do those things, you manage to preserve that value. So I'm going to teach her what she needs to do to just preserve her value. Don't go out. Don't be a whore. Don't sleep around. Don't be, unpicky with the partners that you choose. Don't be argumentative. All these things. Like, just have a good head on your shoulders and do the right things and avoid the wrong things to preserve your value. Because for you to demand the top tier man, as I'm going to raise my daughters to, you need to earn that as well. You need to preserve your value. You need to be a worthy woman of a top tier man. Most women walk around thinking they deserve the best of the best, like they deserve a top tier man. Meanwhile, they're just ran through bitches. They don't deserve shit. You know, they don't deserve those men. And they think they do. They're like, oh, well, my past is in the past. It doesn't really matter. You having taken a bunch of dick affects your psyche. It affects you as a woman. There are studies on this as well where it really affects your pair bonding. Your pair bonding ability goes down dramatically the more sexual partners you've had, right? So these things matter. The past absolutely matters. It's not insignificant. So a lot of women think they deserve top tier men when they don't. They really, really don't deserve top tier men. That's a fact. So again, I'm going to teach her high standards, but then I'm also going to teach her how to earn those high standards so she is deserving of them. And then when she gets married, her man becomes a man of the household, and he's in charge now. He's the priority. Husband comes first, and then father. He's the priority now. I'm the second priority, or after the children, I suppose. But yeah, that's how it's gonna be. That's how I'm gonna raise my daughters. For my sons, it's gonna be very, very different. Very different. My sons are gonna suffer. They're gonna know hard work from the very beginning. They're not gonna grow up with a mentality and idea of, oh, I'm rich, you know, because my father is rich. No, you're not rich. I'm rich. Your sisters are rich, you know, but you're not rich. You're not rich. I'm rich. Your sisters are rich. That's how it is, right? You're gonna have to work. You're gonna know real pain. I'm gonna teach them what it means to earn things as a man, what it means to be a man, that man is full of pain and suffering, and that they're gonna have to go through the fires, you know, to really forge themselves. So they're gonna train every day. They're gonna get normal jobs. I'm gonna teach them how to make money, but I'm not gonna make money for them. They're gonna build their personal brands, their businesses. They're gonna have normal jobs when they're young. They're gonna train every day. They're not gonna get any money from me. In fact, they're gonna pay rent. They're gonna live hard lives, right? Because I'm not gonna give my sons easy lives. They're gonna grow up to become faggots. They're gonna become weak when they get older, and they're not gonna be prepared for becoming a man, because being a man is very difficult. You go through a bunch of shit. It's hard. It's hard as fuck. And I have to teach them and prepare them for what it means to be a man. And that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna give them pain. I'm not gonna like have them think that they're rich. I'm gonna tell them from the very beginning, you're not rich. I'm rich, and your sisters are rich, but you are not rich. Okay? I'm rich, your mother is rich, your sisters are rich, and that's it. You are broke. You need to work for your shit. You need to pay rent. You need to train every day. You need to get jobs. You need to start businesses. That's what you need to do. You're not going to drive fancy cars. You're not going to get any cars until you can afford your own car, and that's going to be a, basic fucking Toyota or Honda or whatever. And then when you can buy the fancy cars, you can buy the fancy cars. But I'm not going to give you anything. Fuck no. You're not going to get shit. I'm going to prepare you and teach you how to make money and teach you how to think, but you're going to do everything you need to do, right? And that's how it's going to be. They're not going to get anything served, and that's how I'm going to prepare them for the hardships of being a man. So this is how I'm going to raise my children. And maybe that's controversial. Maybe a lot of people will think I'm being a little bit harsh with how I'm going to raise my daughters versus how I'm going to raise my sons. But we have completely different life experiences. A woman that has preserved all of her value can get anything. She can demand any man that she wants. If a woman is a virgin, before marriage, and she's beautiful, and she has the right morals, she's religious, she respects male authority, she has a good relationship with her father, her value is up here. Peak value. She can demand anyone that she wants. She can just point and get the best of the best. That's how it is. So she can live this beautiful existence. She just has to preserve her value. That's all. She doesn't really need to suffer. She just needs to prepare by preserving her value so she can become a stay-at-home mom, wife, stay-at-home wife, and everything, and just serve her husband. Whereas men, it's very different. To get these top tier women, the same kind of women that I'm going to raise my daughters to be, you need to become a top tier man. And the only way you can become a top tier man is not just by having everything served to you. You need to suffer. Money doesn't mean anything if you haven't suffered as a man. The status that you acquire as a man comes from the character you build up through suffering. You're not going to get that character in any other way. If you just get all the money, you're just going to be a loser. You're not going to have any character. You're not going to have any pain and stories to tell or anything like that. So I see a lot of men these days online that have a bunch of money, but they haven't gone through the correct trials and tribulations to deserve that money, to be worthy of that status and money. Like Aiden Ross. I've always looked at Aiden Ross like a loser, honestly. I see him as a man, not as a man, as a boy that has a bunch of money and is a loser at the same time. That's truthfully what I think. I think he's an amazing person. He seems like a very good person, but he's a loser nonetheless. No one respects him. People look at him like he's just a loser with a bunch of money. Every room he walks into, no one respects him. And I'm not going to have my sons grow up to become that. You know, out of shape, retarded, not being able to speak, you know, saying stupid shit, being weird, being gay, like all these things that a lot of these fucking influencers and streamers seem to be. So I'm gonna teach them the ways of life. So that's gonna be how I raise my sons and how I raise my daughters. And I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts on that and how you're gonna do it yourselves. But maybe this is controversial, but I truly, truly believe this, and this is how I'm gonna do it. So I'm excited to become a father in a couple of years. Maybe it happens sooner. We'll see. But yeah, that's the video for today, guys. If anyone watched and listened this far, I appreciate you. And as always, I'll see you next time. Cheers.